It was 60-58. There was 6 seconds left in the game. Again, 2-point game. The Liberty call a timeout to the point where even LeBron posted on X saying, "I'm sorry, but that wasn't a foul. Let the blank players dictate the outcome of a close battled, tested game."
Last night's WNBA Finals game was absolutely rigged, and there is so much proof. What a terrible way to end this WNBA season.
Watch this play and tell me if you see a foul, because LeBron James didn't. Neither did Damian Lillard or Isaiah Thomas. In fact, thousands of fans are rewatching this moment from Game 5, and they're all asking the same question. How did this decide a WNBA Finals game? Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now, back to the video. The refs made a call that changed everything, and I mean everything. 2 free throws later, the game was tied, but that's just the beginning. We're about to break down every angle, every frame, and show you something about this game that nobody's talking about yet. Here's the scene. Game 5 of the WNBA Finals. Lynx up 60-58. Just 6 seconds left in regulation. The Liberty have the ball, and everyone in the arena knows it's going to Breanna Stewart. The crowd's on their feet. The tension is electric. Stewart catches the inbound pass at the top of the key. She takes 2 steps left and cuts right, and this is where things get wild. Looking at the replay in slow motion, Stewart's pivot foot clearly shifts before she starts her drive. That's not just my opinion. When you freeze the frame right here, you can see her left foot sliding almost 6 inches across the court. In any other game, that's a travel. But it gets crazier. Stewart drives right, rises up for the shot, and watch this angle closely. There's absolutely zero contact on the shot attempt. The defender's arms are straight up, body perfectly vertical. Even Stewart's follow-through is clean. No contact, no hand check. Nothing that typically draws a whistle in the final seconds of a championship game. The ref's explanation? They claim the defender wasn't in legal guarding position, but check this replay from the baseline camera. The defender's feet are set before Stewart even begins her shooting motion. They're squared up, hands high, textbook defensive positioning. That's when LeBron dropped the tweet that sent shockwaves through the basketball world. "I've seen this movie before, and I don't like the ending. Someone make it make sense." Within minutes, it had over 100,000 likes. And the comments section was absolute chaos. Want to know how unusual this call was? Look at these side-by-side comparisons from crucial moments in other playoff games this season. Here's 3 nearly identical plays from the semifinals. Same drive, same defensive position, same amount of contact. No whistle. Here's 2 more from Game 3 of this series. Again, no call. The social media reaction was instant and intense. Former players, current stars, analysts, everyone had something to say, and they weren't just questioning this one call. They were pointing out something much bigger, something that becomes crystal clear when you look at the numbers from this game. Because while this one whistle might have sparked the controversy, what happened over the full 40 minutes tells an even more disturbing story. When we break down the free throw numbers quarter by quarter, you're going to see exactly why this wasn't just about one bad call. It was about a pattern that nobody could ignore anymore. That pattern everyone's talking about, it gets way worse. When you line up every questionable call from this game side by side, you'll see why Dame Lillard said the refs had an agenda, and the numbers back him up. Let's look at what actually happened on the court. The Liberty walked to the free throw line 25 times. The Lynx, just 8 attempts. That's more than triple the free throws for one team in a championship game. And this wasn't some physical blowout where one team was clearly more aggressive. This was a tight defensive battle where both teams were fighting for every possession. Breaking it down quarter by quarter makes things even more suspicious. The Liberty kept getting calls on plays with minimal contact, while the Lynx were getting hammered with no whistle. We're talking identical plays, identical contact, completely different outcomes depending on which jersey you were wearing. The inconsistency was so obvious, even casual fans were calling it out in real time. The deeper you dig into the playoff numbers, the stranger this gets. The Liberty's free throw attempts in Game 5 suddenly skyrocketed compared to their previous finals games. We're not talking about a small jump. This was a massive spike that came out of nowhere, and it wasn't because they changed their playing style or started attacking more. The film shows the same offensive sets, the same types of drives, just very different results from the officials. Coach Cheryl Reeve couldn't stay quiet about it anymore. In her words, "It's a shame that officiating had such a hand in a series like this." Coming from a veteran coach who's seen everything in this league, that's not just frustration talking, that's someone who knows exactly what she's watching. The reaction from NBA stars was immediate and unified. After LeBron's tweet, Damian Lillard jumped in, suggesting the refs seemed to have a predetermined agenda in the second half. Other players started sharing clips of missed calls, questionable whistles, and plays that showed just how one-sided the officiating had become. But here's what's really wild. This wasn't even the first time this season we've seen something like this. Similar patterns have been popping up in crucial games, raising serious questions about consistency in WNBA officiating. The numbers don't lie, and they're telling a story that's getting harder and harder to ignore. You could feel the tension building in the arena as these calls kept piling up, and when Coach Reeve finally stepped up to that post-game microphone, nobody knew she was about to risk everything to tell the truth about what really happened on that court. Most coaches who speak out against officiating get hit with massive fines and suspensions. But when Cheryl Reeve grabbed that microphone, she didn't just criticize the refs, she was about to say 7 words that would shake the entire WNBA to its core. You could see it in her face the moment she walked into that press room. 20 years of coaching experience, 4 championships, and a reputation for staying composed. But something was different this time. At first, she tried to keep her answers measured, talking about her team's effort and resilience. But you could feel the emotion building with every question. Then came the moment that changed everything. Coach Reeve looked straight into the cameras and said what everyone was thinking. "This shit was stolen from us." The room went completely silent. She knew exactly what those words would cost her, but she wasn't done. "I know all the headlines will be Reeve cries foul. Bring it on, right? Bring it on." Her voice grew stronger as she broke down exactly what happened on that court. If you don't want to call it one way, then don't call it the other. Be consistent. Every team asks for that, right? The frustration in her voice was raw and real. When she added, "It's a shame that officiating had such a hand in a series like this," you could hear years of pent-up frustration pouring out. The WNBA has a long history of coming down hard on coaches who criticize officials. Just look at what happened to Seattle Storm's Dan Hughes in 2019, hit with massive fines for way less controversial comments. But Reeve didn't care anymore. This wasn't just about one game or one call. This was about the integrity of the entire league. Players across the WNBA immediately rallied behind Reeve's comments. Social media lit up with current and former players sharing their own experiences, backing up everything she said. They weren't just supporting their coach. They were finally speaking out about issues they'd seen for years. The league office hasn't responded yet, but everyone knows what's coming. Fines, maybe even a suspension. But something feels different this time. With viewership growing and more eyes on the league than ever before, Reeve's words landed differently. They weren't just complaints about officiating, they were a challenge to the WNBA itself. And as the basketball world holds its breath waiting for the fallout, one question keeps coming up. Will this finally force the changes everyone knows the league needs? Remember when bad calls were just part of the game? Not anymore. This isn't just about one coach speaking out or one game getting stolen. We're watching the moment the WNBA either fixes its biggest problem or loses the trust of fans forever. And the clock's ticking. The timing of this controversy couldn't be more crucial. The WNBA just hit record viewership numbers in the 2024 finals, proving women's basketball is catching fire with fans like never before. More eyes mean higher stakes, and that's exactly why this officiating disaster hits different. When LeBron James jumps into the conversation, you know it's not just another bad call, it's a moment that could define the league's future. But here's what's really eating at fans. This wasn't supposed to happen in 2024. The league's been growing, bringing in new viewers, getting more coverage than ever. Then, this controversial ending drops like a bomb, and suddenly everyone's questioning everything. Social media is not just filled with basketball fans anymore. We're seeing casual viewers, sports commentators, even celebrities jumping in to debate what went down. The pressure for change is building fast. Players are speaking up about the challenge system, saying it needs a complete overhaul. You've got analysts breaking down every angle, showing exactly where the current rules fall short. And Cheryl Reeve didn't just point out the problems, she basically challenged the league to prove they care about getting it right. The solutions being thrown around make a lot of sense. Players want more consistency in how fouls are called. Analysts are pushing for expanded replay reviews in crucial moments. But the biggest focus is on that challenge system. Everyone agrees it's not working when teams can't even challenge the most important calls of the game. This isn't just about fixing one system, though. The WNBA's at a crossroads. With viewership climbing and more big names paying attention, they can't afford to let officiating problems destroy what they've built. Every missed call, every controversial ending, every questionable decision now gets magnified 1,000 times on social media. The league that was finally getting the spotlight it deserved is now facing its biggest test. While the basketball world waits for the league's response, one thing's becoming clear. This isn't going away with a fine or a suspension. The WNBA needs to decide what kind of league it wants to be, because that one whistle didn't just change the outcome of a finals game, it might have just forced the biggest reform in WNBA history. One whistle in Game 5 didn't just change the outcome of a championship, it exposed cracks in the WNBA's foundation that can't be ignored anymore. When LeBron James, Damian Lillard, and thousands of fans all see the same thing, it's more than just another controversial call. The league's facing the kind of moment that either breaks you or makes you stronger. We've seen this before in other sports. The NFL's Fail Mary led to major changes, and the NBA transformed after the malice at the palace. Now it's the WNBA's turn to answer that crucial question. Will they use this controversy to fix what's broken? The board meetings are coming up, and word is they're already discussing reform to challenge rules and officiating standards. But this isn't just about changing a few rules. It's about proving to fans, players, and coaches that the integrity of the game matters more than anything else. Because in the end, a league is only as strong as the trust people have in it.